Again, Omicron variant more transmissible than Delta. The government has confirmed the country's first case of a Japanese national infected with the Omicron variant of the coronavirus, marking the third case in the country. Scientists are working to discover whether the highly mutated strain is more transmissible than the existing Delta variant or able to evade immunity from vaccines or previous infections. The man in his 30s, who had traveled to Italy, was found to be infected with a heavily mutated variants after entering the Japan via Tokyo Haneda Airport. He is fully vaccinated after receiving 2 doses of Moderna COVID-19 vaccines in July and August. A cornerstone of containing the pandemic is widespread testing to identify cases and prevent new outbreaks emerging. This strategy is known as a test, trace, and isolate. Saliva testing is less sensitive than a nasal swab for COVID-19 detection, but in the midst of the public health crisis, there is a strong argument that in some instances, a test with moderated reduced sensitivity is better than no test at all. The standard test so far has been the swab test, in which a swab goes up your nose and the back of your throat. But the alternative method of specimen collection using saliva testing can reduce the risk for health workers, although a nasal and throat swab is the preferred specimen for detecting the virus. PCR test on saliva has recently been suggested as an alternative method. Several studies demonstrated the feasibility of this approach. It used the existing PCR test but examined saliva instead of the nasal sample. A positive test result means that it's likely that you had an infections with SARS-CoV-2. This could be due to asymptomatic infection, but if you have symptoms, this infection is called COVID-19. Most people have a mild illness and can recover safely at home without medical care. A negative test result means you probably didn't have an infection at the time your specimen was collected. However, it's possible to have COVID-19 but not have the virus detected by the test. For example, this may happen if you recently became infected but you don't have symptoms yet. Or it could happen if you had COVID-19 for more than a week before being tested. A negative test doesn't mean you are safe or any length of time. You have been exposed to COVID-19 after your test, get infected, and spread the SARS-CoV-2 virus to others. How long does it take to get coronavirus test result? You should receive your test result as early as 24 hours after sample collecting, but sometimes it can take a few days depending on how long it takes the sample to reach a laboratory. PCR means polymerase chain reaction as a test to detect the genetic material from specific organisms, such as a virus. The test detects the presence of the virus if you have the virus at the time of the test. The test could also detect fragments of the virus even after you are no longer infected. The polymerase chain reaction PCR test for COVID-19 as a molecular test analyzes your upper respiratory specimens looking for genetic material, ribonucleic acid, or RNA. The virus that causes COVID-19, scientists use the PCR technology to amplify a small amount of RNA from specimens into deoxyribonucleic acid DNA. Shot 2, which means are fully vaccinated. I make plans to go to the farmer market, still masked, have lunch with a friend. Vaccines in my community are now available for all people 16 or over. We have mass vaccination events with no appointment necessary, more vaccine than people who want them in some area. With so much progress here, finally, I'm a bit giddy with relief and want to share the good news. The vaccines will make a difference. They will come, no matter how slow. But even as I write, the situation in many places, particularly in poorer countries, worsens. It's clear we still have a long road ahead to end this terrible global pandemic.